Here it comes from the famous Konig Wheel Studios. It's The Hype Is Right.
Introducing.
My name is Caleb, known as GINGIUM.
I'm James Houghton, driver of the K-tuned Acura TSX and the Gridline Team.
I'm Taylor Hull, driver of the Comp Cams Cadillac ATS-V and Formula Drift.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Wheel Wednesday. I'm Scott from Konig.
Oh, well, that was Sam's nostril.
Don't even get me started about Miatas. I think Miatas are just the right height.
As much as I'd like to say it's overhyped, I think it's just right.
At the time that we're talking, which is right at the end of 2020, I'm gonna say is just right.
I think they're just right.
They are super popular cars, but they're super awesome cars.
The Miata is just such a versatile car.
The car is certainly a good car. It's a car that you can drive flat out on the track and really have an enjoyable time.
I think the options for modifying them nowadays is crazy. People are doing crazy motor swaps. They're doing V8s, they're doing V6s, J swaps, LFX swaps, K swaps now, and everything else.
You can do drifting with it, you can do road racing with it. I've seen people drag race with them. Maybe not the greatest thing for that short wheelbase to be able to go down the drag strip, but great road race cars.
They're relatively cheap, although their prices are rising. They're super modifiable. You can do anything from simple bolt-on stuff to crazy engine swaps and chassis swaps. They can drift, they can grip race, they can rally cross. Miatas are awesome.
It handles well, it has good weight distribution, and the car is modificationable.
I think it's just a fantastic platform. People out there, even with lightly modified ones, having fun on the street with them and doing autocrosses and things like that.
But the one thing about the Miata is that on its own merit, just driving on the street, it's not necessarily that exciting of a car. You can make it more exciting, but right now I think that they're still affordable, even though the prices are going up. I expect the prices to go up quite a bit, so my answer may not be applicable in a year from now.
But I think that platform is so diverse, can work for so many different ways, and even just like a basic daily driver that gets great fuel economy. I'm gonna say it doesn't have enough height.
Overhyped. Next, also not American.
So an EK Civic, I'm gonna say that this car is overhyped.
The EK Civic is a tough one because they are pretty popular in motorsports. A lot of people use them as track cars, as drag cars. I'm gonna go ahead and say they're underhyped.
About as far away from what I do as possible, I think. Front wheel drive, slow.
Damn. This car is slow as hell.
I think that the potential of that car with racing, time attack, autocross, fun street car, show car, whatever you want, I think it just hits all the boxes.
Plenty of modifications you could do to it, and you can build a really, really crazy EK rocket ship.
They've got tons of potential. They're cheap, easy to modify. You can do engine swaps.
You can't get into them at a good price point. I know you can road race them and you can drag race them. You definitely can't drift them with the front wheel drive, but that's all right.
Infinite possibilities for engine swaps. I think that definitely deserves more hype than it gets sometimes.
The one thing is, if you try to go out and try to find a clean EK Civic, they're getting primo dollars for them now. It's an older platform. There's nothing inherently awesome or exciting about it in its raw form. So I'm gonna say that the car is still overhyped.
A Ford. It's American. Oh, a Ford Focus ST. You got me there. It's borderline between just right and underhyped.
I'm gonna say that the Focus ST is underhyped, and here's why.
I'm gonna say the Focus ST is overhyped.
Focus ST, I'm gonna say underhyped.
I think for the price point for a new car, it's like 25 grand, and you know, now they're getting like almost 300 horsepower out of those things. So
They are good cars, don't get me wrong. They're fun to drive, easy to modify, and there's lots of modifications available.
I think that it's still a little pricey. I think the prices are going to come down. I don't think it's going to be one of those cars that's going to be held to this higher standard like Evos or STIs where their value continues to, you know, kind of accumulate.
I think it's a great platform. I think it looks really nice. The power plant has great potential for power. I just think that as you go start modifying it more heavily, it might not make sense.
So many people have them, and so many people think that they're the best cars. I just think there's a little bit too much hype.
You can do a lot with them. I think it's really cool that they still come with a 6-speed manual. They're great little cars. They're pretty fast. Again, you can do a lot of things with them. Road racing, drag racing. I know spirited mountain driving is pretty cool in those things. I'd have one. It's American. It's cool. I like it.
I think they're going to be a great value, and I think you could do a lot of cool things to them. They're turbo. They can make good power. So I'm going to say that, you know, this is a definite underhyped situation. So 240SX, I'm going to say that the car is completely overhyped.
They are so popular, and they are really good cars, but I'm gonna say that they are also overhyped.
That's an interesting one. I'm gonna give it 2 answers. I think in the drifting world, which is so famous for, I think it might be overhyped. I think in a track world, track day, time attack, race environment, I think it's underhyped.
Overhyped, man. Way overhyped. I've had several.
And I understand that people love these cars and the aftermarket support and yada, yada, yada. But the truth is,
When I got my first one, maybe, it was maybe just right. That was before the drift tax really started. But 240s have just gone through the roof with what they cost now. You know, they're great if you swap them and all that. But I mean, the base KA, kind of garbage.
I think that some of the cars that you'll see at World Time Attack in Australia and some other places show how fast that those cars truly have the potential to be on track. So in that sense, I'm going to give it underhyped, and in drift, I'm going to say overhyped.
I mean, you go to a drift event and 90% of the cars are 240SXs. Like, come on, why is nobody else drifting a truck?
You know, for your entry-level drift car, I think a 350Z or something is a way better value than a 240. Drag cars, you can find a Fox body way cheaper.
you've heard it, the drift tax or the, you know, the S chassis tax or the 240 tax, it's out of control. What you find for a shell that's rotting and falling apart to pieces and the amount of money you have to put into it, just unreasonable. So I'm gonna say that the car is overhyped.
I roll started it most of the time. I call it the Red Dragon. Never would start. I sold it still roll starting it.
S2000. I also think the S2000 is just the right height.
For a Honda guy like me, you'd expect me to say underhyped or just right or something like that, but I'm actually gonna say overhyped.
I'm gonna go underhyped on the S2K.
Right now, I'm gonna say the car is just right.
Those cars have gotten crazy out of hand price-wise. The engines are sometimes having some issues as they're getting older. They're really expensive to purchase a second-hand engine.
I almost bought one of these cars back several years ago. Again, you can do a lot of cool things with them. Drift, drag, road race, they can do it all. They're fun cars. I mean, I think the fact that they're a roadster is pretty cool.
Similar to a Miata, they are super popular and sought after, but they're super awesome cars. I know I'm not supposed to say that because I'm a Miata owner, but they are.
I think that, you know, Honda made a great sports car, and it was that. It was the definition of a sports car. They did a great job, you know, getting the car to have all cool parts. The one thing that the car didn't have, power. I mean, the car was slow.
In some ways, I think the chassis geometry is really good, but in other ways, I think it could use improvements. Those cars are always really loose. They tend to oversteer. They take a lot of dialing in to dial that out. But at the same time, they make for a fun street car.
I've seen them compete in Formula Drift. Chris Jenner used to drive one. It's pretty cool. Probably kicking Miata's butt all day on the road course in its factory form.
Easy to modify, tons of potential, and they're incredibly fun to drive.
So if you're able to put the time and money into it to be able to make that car faster, that really becomes the complete package. So, you know, if you can find a car affordably, I think these cars are priced just right.
This was a lot of fun, just reviewing these cars. Took it very seriously. Got my hat, seriously enough to get the hat, not seriously enough to wear pants.